relationship expert, and she wants to talk about relationships in lockdown. Can I please welcome to Express FM the lovely Keeley Taverner. Keeley, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good to speak to you.
Keeley, want to get this out there straight away. Are you and your family keeping safe and well during this pandemic?
Indeed we are. We're abiding by the rules, taking precautions, ordering online, staying home. We're spending so much extra time together that actually I've decided to buy my own house. So that's also helpful, just to create a bit more social distancing. Yes, it is.
That's a positive.
Yeah, just a little bit more social distancing. But yeah, it just felt that it was time. You know, I'd lived in a family home while I'd been studying. I'd stayed at home because it was better, you know, in terms of finances, to be together. But actually it's been time to move on, and that for many people is things that they are also considering about moving on, whether it is time to, you know, leave the nest as such.
Of course. Now, a lot of people will be saying right now, relationships are tough at the moment because certainly during the last 10 months, people are spending an awful lot more time together. Now, it can have a positive as well as a negative impact. Some people, and I can hold my hands up to this, I've spent more time with my family than I have ever done. And it's been fantastic. But not everybody's in the same position, are they?
No, and I think it also depends on your socio-economic group, because we also know, you know, the type of house we live in, whether we're sharing bedrooms, you know, our front, you know, the space that we have. You know, people don't often talk enough about the kind of class issues that also come with a pandemic, and, you know, whether we have extra finance to be able to afford to pay for exercise bikes and so on and so forth. So all of these things are factors that matter and we need to take consideration of.
And also, if you've got a husband and wife, a girlfriend and boyfriend all working together, and suddenly, you know, you've got to work from home and you've got one spare room, and maybe you haven't got room for two mini offices, and suddenly you've got that pressure, and then you add in maybe homeschooling.
Woo.
And suddenly the pressure in a relationship becomes immense.
Exactly. And obviously we also, you know, not everybody will be able to work from home. Some people's careers, you know, if we look at the retail industry, if we look at the entertainment industry, those people are in very difficult situations with no end in sight. So you also, the mental health aspect of what it means to lose the careers for many people that they've dedicated their lives to, there's just so much uncertainty. And I think, if I'm really honest, I think in the West we've become so sure, and we've not had to deal with uncertainty like maybe many people in developing nations. So it's very difficult for us to live day to day. And that's one of the aspects I really encourage people, is to start thinking about living day to day. Let's organize our days around breakfast, lunch and dinner, really to start to get down to small wins.
So have you got a few little tips that you can pass on for anybody that's listening right now and they're saying, oh, listen, you know, I love my husband, I love my wife, I love my girlfriend, I love my boyfriend, but it's so tough at the moment. Are there a few little tips that you can give so people could possibly take these away and start building their relationship again?
I think one of the most important aspects is, for some people, they actually have EAP services through their employee assistance programs. Some of those programs do allow people to have therapy. So do ask your HR department, and some HR departments are making extra allowances for family dynamics, challenges that are coming up. I know Bupa is doing that, offering services, therapy services to family members. So see if that is an option that you can explore. Obviously, communication is a massive issue for most relationships. So, I mean, it really depends on the dynamics, but finding a way to communicate can be helpful. Sometimes if it's easier by text and it works as a short-term measure, let's text rather than have difficult conversations where we're carrying so much and it can take a little incident to spark off a volcano that we're already holding. So it's about tips, tactics that actually give us coping strategies in the immediate future, in the present moment.
bits of research I was doing actually yesterday, because I knew obviously we were going to be chatting today. And suddenly it's come to light that there's a lot of small little niggly things that would happen in a relationship that sometimes you would turn a blind eye to. And suddenly go, oh yeah, okay, they do that, that's fine, no worries. But suddenly when you spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with that partner, and that's happening all the time, that little thing starts to build, and it suddenly becomes huge.
Mammoth, yeah. And that, if I'm very honest, is exactly one of the reasons why I've left my family home, because sometimes what it is our resilience is diminished. And so I think one of the aspects that we need to be conscious of is when we get to the point where things are getting too much. How do you begin to notice that in yourself? So access mental health services as well. You know, there are lots of charities out there who we can engage with, because it takes it's like the straw that breaks the camel's back. And actually it may not be about the fact that you haven't loaded the dishwasher correctly, which is a problem within itself, but with so much tension that we're carrying, it can be that catalyst for that kind of eruption. And I think we have to be really mindful of that. We've got people who are living in really small spaces as well. Here in London, you know, property prices are exceptionally high, which means we're in very confined spaces, and those issues get exacerbated. We can't deny this. It's tough times, and what we need are coping strategies so communication can be helpful, but also timeouts if you are allowed to leave the house. But also at some point, for some of us, we may need to consider whether we need to think about for some people, the relationships will end. There's no two ways about it. And that's difficult. And what we need to be thinking about is what services can we access. Now, not everybody's going to be able to afford to go privately, but like I said again, HR departments are available, and you can take, use those benefits that have been available to us that we've not used for many years. We just not used them. I also supervise at lower cost counselling services. Get help. Don't stay silent and build up, but let it build up all by yourself. Reach out.
I mean, certainly communication is vital, and certainly something that they could possibly get advice on is how to approach the problem with your partner. Because when you're in a relationship, and we'll go back to the stacking of the dishwasher, some people can stack the dishwasher and don't think twice about what they're doing, and there's people that just put it in anywhere. I'll confess here on air, right, that my wife has had a little subtle word with me on occasions, because I've called her and I've gone, what are you doing? I'm restacking the dishwasher.
Yep.
And I say, but I've done it. And she goes, yeah, but you've done it wrong. Okay? But to be fair, we'll have a laugh and joke about it, and I will take it on board. But there's people that will go, what are you doing? And that can cause a little bit of friction, and suddenly the communication or the way it's approached will escalate. So it's how you approach your partner and put that over.
I think that's important, depending obviously on the rationale of the individual you're dealing with. Obviously, we know domestic abuse, coercive control is another aspect which is causing lots of people problems. So there's also that point where it becomes incredibly dangerous. So I think if you've got you're dealing with a partner who's reasonable, it's wonderful. Who is able to hear that, let's communicate, or maybe let's have a text about what's going on because it's too potent at the current time. But at the far end of the spectrum is the challenge of difficult relationships, abusive relationships, violence, coercive control, and dominance, which create a real it's just an incredibly frightening time for people who are in those situations. And if that is the case, at worst, you call 999 when situations have become exceptionally heated, especially if you're worried for your safety. But there are also hotlines, the domestic abuse helpline is also there to assist people who are in situations that have become dire, unworkable. I think I think that's the kind of the spectrum, you know, where we are at the current time of just trying to find a way. So pay attention, especially if there is a fear of violence.
I mean, just picking up on that, we've spoken about domestic abuse on here before. If anybody is in that position, don't forget you can go to our website, expressfm.com/wellbeing Portsmouth. There is information and advice. And once again, if you are in a relationship and you are worried about the situation and you're unable to speak about it, but I can tell you now, we've said it before, we'll say it again, just dial 999, and when they ask which service you require, just press 55 and that will activate where they will track down your phone, okay, and so you don't have to speak, and that is something that is available for you. And once again, I'm sure, Keeley, you would agree with me, anybody that's listening right now and you're in a relationship and you think, how can we get out of this? And we must be the only people that are suffering with this. You are not alone, okay? You are not going to face this alone. It's happening right across our country, right across the UK. In fact, it's happening right around the world. Relationships are all in different situations at the moment. So you're not going to be alone, are they, Keeley?
And exactly. And it's an intense time. And I think sometimes I struggle to say this, that you know, not everybody is not every relationship will come out of this situation. It won't work. It will break some relationships, and I think that's the uncomfortable reality, is that the issues will just become too difficult. And I think we need to really brace ourselves and be aware of that actually for some of us it won't be workable. However, we can come to a situation where we are respectful. And I know in my private practice, people are calling because they are breaking up. They need to stay together stay in the house for financial reasons. They're not in a position to move. And so they're trying to find a way to be respectful of each other in a very difficult situation to make it work in spite of what's going on. And I think that's also something we need to talk about, that people need to know that if the relationship does come to an end, you can, you know, try to find a way, either bring somebody in to assist, but to try to work out a plan so that you can be mutually respectful as the relationship hits the buffers.
Keeley, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. I'm going to ask you, would you like to come back on again maybe in a week or so's time, and we'll do a little catch-up?
Brilliant.
Okay? And maybe what we'll do, we'll set it up maybe a few days in advance. So if anybody's listening and they think, wow, I've got a lovely question I'd like to put in, I wish I could have asked for this, maybe we could take a few questions from some listeners and maybe put those to you. How does that sound?
Brilliant. Absolutely. Would love that.
Fantastic. Keeley, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Thank you for some great little tips you've put out, but most of all, can you please make sure you stay safe and well?
Will do. Thank you so much. All the best.
My pleasure. Thank you, Keeley.
All right. Bye now.